Hello y'all, Set to Achieve. Welcome to another video. And today I'm just gonna go into details on why I left nursing as a registered nurse to go and be a delivery driver, and why I will never ever go back. Please, if you're new to my channel, go ahead and subscribe to my channel, like this video, leave your comments. Maybe you're in nursing, maybe you're frustrated, or maybe you enjoy nursing, okay? But let's get to it, okay? So I've been doing delivery driving for, I would say like well over like 5 years now. We're in 2025, yes. And I left nursing right before the pandemic, okay? So what was the triggers, okay? Why would I leave, a prestigious profession like nursing, especially as an RN, to be a delivery driver? A lot of people could not fathom that. And this was, yeah, and that was the reason why it took me so long, okay? I became a registered nurse in 2020, in 2010, okay? Started working, did facilities, did home health, did agency, pretty much did, everything that you could possibly do as a nurse, okay? And I found no joy in it. I feel like I was pressured into nursing by the people around me. By the way, I recently escaped a narcissistically abusive relationship or situation. I don't call a narcissistically abusive situation a relationship, because there's no relating, okay? So I recently left a year and 10 months ago, okay? All right. And a lot of the things that I was going through, even with my nursing, was also combined with the abuse that I was going through at home. And it was very, very daunting. It was very, very depressing. And a lot of the abuse that I was going through, I was also seeing some abuse at work. I was also seeing the gaslighting, the blame shifting, and when I first became a nurse, I was like surprised, because I started working in a skilled care facility, and I could see that a lot of the people there working there were very unhappy. And I couldn't understand like what it was, because here I just gotten past my NCLEX, and I was excited, like, okay, well, now I can work, I can, make money, I can take care of my family. But it wasn't so. I was working, but I was very depressed, because first and foremost, I could see that the people around me were also depressed. I could see, and I would observe that every few minutes, maybe 30 minutes, there would be somebody going for a smoke break. And I'm not a smoker, so I was like saying to myself, and a lot of the people had worked there for either as CNAs or nurses, whether LPNs or registered nurses for years, or they had been that for years, and I could see that a lot of them were very, very unhappy. And I could understand what it was. As a brand new nurse, but as time would go on, I would get very anxious. And, it got to the point that, like, even when I was off, and I left that facility, went to another facility, and it was like basically a lot of the same things, and I could see, like, it was the same patterns, and it was the same, I could say it was like the same abuse. I would see that a lot of the time there was like a shortage, and with the shortage of staff, especially with the help, like the the CNAs and stuff, they would be overworked. It would be like one CNA would have like a long hallway, and then it's like you would even feel bad delegating, because it's like we don't have enough people, and when I would work nights, because I did all the shifts, so there was a time I was working nights, it would only be one nurse for the whole floor, and I would go back home and all my back would be hurting. I left facility nursing, went into home health, and it was just like, even with the home health agencies, I still found abuse and And don't combine with the fact that I was going through a lot at home as well. I was going through narcissistic abuse. I was being gaslit, you know, and then I would tell my ex, you know, about what I was going through and everything. And pretty much what he would say is, because obviously I was like supporting the family, you know, and I felt like he didn't want to kind of like climb up and be a man and do what he needed to do, because he felt like, well, his wife is a nurse, you know, my wife is a nurse, so, you know, she can take care of it. You know, it doesn't matter about her mental health. You know, so I was going through a lot, and, you know, it just, you know, and there's people like that were like, well, there are different kinds of nursing and everything. And I never did a self-survey of myself, because a lot of times when you are going through narcissistic abuse, is because your family was narcissistically abusive and toxic, okay? So because of the fact that I was groomed by narcissists, I was someone that was used to gaslighting myself, ignoring red flags, ignoring my intuition, you know. I have Christ now, so I call that the Holy Spirit, but ignoring the Holy Spirit, you know, because I have the Holy Spirit, you know. And even then I had the Holy Spirit, and, you know, I would just be at home and I would just cry, you know, and I would just be so devastated, because I knew what I went through in nursing school, you know, and I was looking for like confirmation, you know, and I give God glory for the fact that I did find that confirmation on YouTube, okay? That's why I would always be thankful for YouTube, all right? So I was, you know, because I had told my ex and everything, and was like, you know, why do you want to like leave? You know, my father was not in support, my family was not in support. I even had a family member tell me that I would never ever be successful in life if I didn't do nursing. So the only way I would be successful in life was through nursing, you know. And because a lot of my family members are in health professions, it was like, how dare you break out of nursing and healthcare? Like, who do you think you are? You know, that kind of thing, you know. But it's like, so I had given them what they wanted, you know, by becoming a nurse. But what about myself? What about my soul? You know, I was so unhappy. So there were so many factors that were keeping me in bondage, you know. And so I had to do a self-survey, you know, and, you know, because when I started seeing my mental health was like literally crashing, and my physical health was crashing, you know, and there was even a day that I was coming back from doing nights. I would never ever go back to doing nights. I would never ever go back to a 9 to 5 ever, you know, as long as I can help it. I would never, okay? And I can't help it because there's so many opportunities out here, okay? So when I was, yeah, it actually happened. I didn't want to forget that. I was coming back from the skilled care facility. I'd worked, you know, for hours, and I was so tired. And I didn't even know that I was driving and sleeping, you know. And I had a crash, but luckily I kind of like quickly woke up before I kind of crashed into the embankment. So it affected my tires, but, you know, I didn't like have like anything like, you know, like my car was totaled, but it was a wake-up call. Like, what are you doing? You know, what are you doing? You know, so eventually I left, you know, I left, but I had to like basically start from rock bottom. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know any other means to like, that I could think of to make money. But so one day I was just like sitting down, and I felt the Holy Spirit tell me to go back to braiding. You know, I felt the Holy Spirit I just felt like, yeah, you know what, I think I should go back to braiding. I just had that realization. I knew it was the Holy Spirit. And so I had self-taught myself at 12 to braid. You know, I would lock myself in the bathroom with my parents in the basement, and I would just like use my hands to part, and I would just braid. I would just like, you know, you know, get, you know, ask my parents for money to go to the beauty supply, buy some hair, and I would just braid, you know, and it would come out so pretty. You know, it was like a freestyle. So so it was pretty, and from there, I would do my sisters. So she started like wearing like blonde braids, you know, to school that time in you know, high school, you know, because she wanted to be, you know, fashionable, whatever. But anyway, long story short, as time went on, I started doing other people's hair, you know, people that we knew or whatever. And but So I had like forgotten, let's just say I had forgotten my first love. I'd forgotten, you know, because I felt like I was so beaten up and put in a box, that I had forgotten that there was something else I could do. I had completely forgotten. I was completely, how when you're with a narcissist, or you might not know, you lose yourself. You don't know what you like anymore. You don't know what you dislike anymore. Because they won't let you be a person, like be yourself. So fast forward, I started doing braids. I started, because I had that skill, to like do professional braiding. So I started like passing out cards in the mall. Some people would take the cards and I would do their hair. I would start doing their hair. During that time, I would do hair in my apartment. I would do hair in my apartment. My kids were really young, and everything. So I was just doing whatever I could. But as time went on, I started doing delivery apps, okay? I started with Uber Eats. I was doing that, and I loved the freedom. I loved the fact that I was still helping people, because I believe that my heart is to help people, but just not in that way, not with healthcare. I didn't even, and I realized that I didn't even like being around the sick, I didn't like being around sickness, I didn't like, I felt compassion for them, but I didn't like being around it day in, day out. So it made me feel, like kind of hopeless, A lot of times, like when I would walk into the skilled facilities, you would just smell the sickness, the foulness. It was almost like death, It was just horrible. So anyway, fast forward, I started doing delivery. I started with Uber Eats. Eventually, for whatever reason, I got deactivated, but I kind of like had gotten the hang of everything. I remember at that time I had signed up for Caviar, but it was like far away, but I had bought the bag, I bought like some of the things that was needed, I had gotten like, I think I even went to like a kind of like a courier, get together type thing, informational type meeting. So I was kind of like, almost like I was starting a new career, Yes, it didn't pay as much, but I was happy, So I started combining that with the hair. So some days I would do hair. I had kind of stable clients that would call me each and every time they took their hair down, and whatever. Like 2 weeks later, they would call me, okay, I want to get my hair reinstalled, and I would go. So I kind of like started like finding my footing, even though I was still in a narcissistically abusive situation. But I kind of like started like saying, okay, I can do something. I can, make things work. And then I started finding my ground. Eventually, after I lost Uber Eats, I signed up with DoorDash. So I was doing that, and yeah. So I started doing DoorDash. From DoorDash, I went to start doing. I signed up with with Roadie, and there was a time I think I had like 6 apps that I was doing like like simultaneously. I learned about multi-apping, and I just started like realizing, and then right in 2020, like right when the pandemic happened, and a lot of those, a lot of things were closing down and everything, I was like, you know what, I was online and I was looking at how to become a notary, because I was seeing a lot of videos of people becoming notaries and everything. So I got commissioned in my state. Okay, so I got commissioned in my state. I became a notary. So I was working as a notary on some days, getting clients, so I was like, wow, okay. So, and then I started tying 2 and 2 together, that the fact that I wasn't tied to a 9-to-5 opened up windows of heaven. Like the Bible talks about windows of heaven, because my mental health was not crowded. I didn't have tunnel vision, like only nursing, so it was like opening up doors, like, okay, so I can be a notary as well as do the delivery, as well as do hair, so I was like, it was like diversifying, like they talk about in stocks, you diversify, so, but if I had not left nursing, if I had not decided that enough was enough and choose myself, I know for sure that those doors that have opened, and even more that have opened since, would not have opened, okay? Eventually I was doing, as time went on, further down, I was doing DoorDash, okay, for food. We know that that's food delivery. I was doing deliver that for catering. So I would get catering orders, and like really short, maybe 5 miles, short distances, like paying like $40, $50. Like it was great. I was like, okay, so it got good. And then some of the days I would do notary and hair, so I was just doing different things. So the delivery apps I would do, DoorDash, I would do, I had signed up for Spark, because I was hearing about Spark during that time. I signed up for Spark, but I got deactivated like a week later, and it was saying that somebody else was using my same phone number. I didn't understand that, but I was like, that's fine, there's other ones, And the great thing about delivery is that there's other ones. There's so much other ones, and there are more and more apps coming up because it's about being a middleman, That's another story entirely, okay? Because all these apps are middlemen, middlemen, okay? So what is a middleman? Amazon is a middleman, okay? DoorDash is a middleman, okay? So the middleman is the company, DoorDash, they have the platform. So they're the middleman, and the independent contractors or couriers or whatever, the people that do the service, they are the service providers, okay? So all they do, DoorDash, whether it's Grubhub, Instacart, all of those, they're all middleman companies, okay? So basically they have the volume of clients. So all they own really is the clients. All they own, I guess you can't say that they own, but the people that they have is their clients, okay? So I guess they do the marketing, to their clients, okay? And then we're the ones that, like independent contractors, the drivers, the couriers, the grocery shoppers, they're the ISPs, independent service providers. So they're the ones that supply the work, because without the ISPs, the workers, couriers, they won't have a business. Because if they have the customer that wants the food delivered to them and they have no driver to, to bring the food, then there's no food for the customer, right? So they make no money. So every time that they, a customer like reaches out or whatever, to the platform and says that they want, they want like they order from a restaurant and everything, then the drivers that attach themselves to that platform or sign up to that platform, get notified, right? So we get the pings, dun, 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 like, DoorDash, you get the bail or whatever, right? And you're notified like, hey, there's a delivery at Portillo's. Hey, there's a delivery at Chick-fil-A. There's a delivery at Chipotle, and then you take that job, right? And the customer pays the platform, DoorDash or Instacart, whatever, they get a cut and we get a cut. So that's the whole middleman thing, okay? And it's a business strategy. So I went ahead and took a course talking about being a middleman and, how you can get paid being a middleman, because I like the whole idea, because I was like, wow, I work for middleman companies anyway, right? So I did that, and I started a middleman cleaning business, whereby I just find the customers for local businesses, ISPs, and those ISPs, independent service providers that do this anyway, every day. So I take a cut, when the customers book, and they take a cut. So I started a middleman cleaning business, and I was doing notary, then I was doing hair sometimes. I kind of dropped the hair down because I became a mobile braider. I dropped the hair down because, I started having like pain in my back. But long story short, I had so many multiple ways to make money. And by the way, I have the multiple strings masterclass bundle. It's only $49 and change, $49.99. So if you're interested in getting started, you can. I'm gonna leave the link in the description. But yes, I left nursing for delivery, ultimately, and then of course I scaled as time went. Yeah, so I left nursing ultimately because I wanted to preserve my health and literally just stay alive, you know. And I believe that delivery actually saved my life. Okay. So, and by the way, I was talking about confirmation. I was waiting for confirmation from like another nurse or someone just talking about like what they went through and why they decided to leave. And I saw a YouTube video during that time for a nurse, a registered nurse, saying that she worked in emergency, she worked at hospitals, she worked at facilities, and the fact that she left nursing for to become a lash tech, and why she will never go back, you know, because her mental health was going down. She was like spazzing out basically. So yeah. So that was my confirmation. Like, yeah, I need to leave this. But you know, ultimately, thankful to God for where He has brought me to. And if you're someone out there and you really are frustrated, I want you to know, and maybe you're in the health field or whatever field that you are, I want you to know that there's options. Okay, you don't have to be where you don't want to be. Okay, all we have is the little time that we have. Okay, there's no need spending it miserable. Okay, once our time is up, our life is up. Okay, so there's no need spending our lives miserable. No need. It makes no sense. Okay, so do what you feel is right for you. Okay, so please like the video, share, leave your comments, and till next time, God bless.